How to deal with overwhelm? Well, the thing is, firstly, what is overwhelm? We normally experience that when there's a lot of things to do, or we have a lot of information to go through, and it just feels like everything's closing in on us and it's just too much to do. And sadly, in today's age, it just seems like we tend to experience this more than just once in our lifetime. Now, it is important to understand that there is a positive side to overwhelm. And dealing with overwhelm can prevent you from quitting. The other problem or challenge with overwhelm is it can actually prevent you from taking on something new, because the moment you start thinking about everything you have to do or everything you have to learn, you just, this fear gets into you and you just want to give up and not even get started. But let me draw a parallel to puzzles. What can a puzzle teach us about overwhelm? I want you to think about opening up a brand new 1,000-piece puzzle. You open the box, then you open the bag, you throw all the puzzle pieces on the table. And what do you see? It's actually quite a mangled mess. Some pieces are face up and some pieces are face down. So I want you to look at that as being all this information and all these tasks you have to do. That could create overwhelm. But how do you go about building this puzzle? Well, you start looking for corners. You start looking for pieces that have got straight sides. You start looking for pieces that match. And slowly but surely in time, you start building your puzzle. And you start getting a frame and your corners are coming together, and then the sides, and then you start filling in the centerpieces, and before you know it, your puzzle is complete. So now relate that back to feeling overwhelmed in life. What did you do with the puzzle piece or the puzzle? You looked at all the pieces and you started organizing them, putting them into some form of structure, right? So when you're feeling overwhelmed with a lot of tasks you have to do, or a lot of information you have to learn, you know, I've had that quite a few times. I've been through quite a few courses where I have pushed myself through the course in 2 weeks when it was actually scheduled for 3 months, but that's just the way I am. You know, I like to get in there and get it over and done with. And in those cases, I do feel overwhelmed. But I've learned to understand that on the other side of overwhelm is structure and success. But the thing is, you have to push through the overwhelm. When I feel overwhelmed, I actually start getting excited. And the reason for that is because it evidently means I am learning something new. Otherwise, I wouldn't be feeling overwhelmed. So I just keep pushing through and understand that I am going to get through it. Right, so, you know, the puzzle pieces, so you started putting them into a structure. So have a look at what it is you're trying to achieve or do that's creating this overwhelm, and start trying to put some structure into it. Pick out the cherries. You know, inevitably, when you take on a task, you don't have to understand everything. You don't have to connect all the pieces. They will eventually come into place. The same with a puzzle. You started looking for the corners, the straight edges, pieces that have got similar color patterns. Those are the cherries that you're picking to eventually create the big picture. So don't let overwhelm get in the way of you taking on something new or pushing through to achieve your goals. Be very clear on why it is you're doing what you're doing, because you can always go back to that and just keep reminding yourself why you are taking on this task or this challenge, and that will allow you to keep pushing through. Also, be very clear on what matters. Whatever it is you're focusing on, whatever it is you're chasing, that it actually matters in your life, and it's not something that has been pushed onto you or you've been requested to do despite the fact that you didn't want to do it. Don't waste your time with things that do not serve your life's purpose. The best way to deal with overwhelm, as I mentioned, and I need to mention this again, is to go through it. Think of it as a dark tunnel. And you've heard the saying, there's light at the end of the tunnel. Sure, there's light at the end of the tunnel. In a lot of cases, you can see it there far away. But how do you get there? You've got to walk through the dark tunnel to eventually get to the light. So understand that on the other side of overwhelm is structure and success. See overwhelm as a sign of growth. And don't allow your limiting beliefs to prevent you from pushing through. Believe that you're worth it. Believe that you can achieve it. And I guarantee you, you absolutely will.